Hi there, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to share with you today a really simple way to create fingerless gloves, or texting gloves as some call them. It's definitely a nice beginner pattern if you're just learning to crochet especially, and they work up pretty quick. So this is obviously just one of the pair, and I am using Heartland yarn, but basically any worsted weight or acrylic yarn, or it could even be a nice cotton yarn if you're using, say I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby, which is my personal favorite. You will probably want to use a hook size that is a little bit smaller than this. This one is a 5.5 and that I'm going to be using today to show you how to create the matching the matching one of this. Okay, so I of course just start by once my yarn is on my hook, I chain 30. Okay, so you don't count that initial loop there. All right, you're just going to chain 30 after that. Sometimes it's easier to just pull yarn and have it out there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure you keep the same tension as you go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So this basically sets your length in place for your glove, except for the trim around the edge. I wear mine where this is at the bottom. I have seen some, I've sold these at craft fairs, I've given them as gifts, and I've seen some, I create it this way so that this end is a little longer and you can fold it easily like that if you want to shorten it up a bit for driving, grasping around the steering wheel, things like that. But this obviously keeps a little bit more of your hand warm. But I have seen some flip it around, because you definitely can do that, and wear it like this. It comes further down the wrist this way, and I've just heard they like seeing this detail up here. So either way, that's definitely a personal preference. Like I said, when I first created these though, I did this more as the trim at your wrist. So this, even though I chain 30, if you like, of course you can make this longer. I would just measure it on your hand roughly to where you might like it to lie, where you'd like it to come to, and coming up to your finger line. That's your personal preference there. So once you have your length there, flip your yarn around, and you're just single crocheting back down to the end. So you're technically going to end up with 29, okay, stitches, because we went up 30, but we're turning it and we're going right back in this loop, this first loop next to the end here. So you count that as 1. Just go into that first one there, okay, and then you're going into the first part of each loop all the way down for a single crochet. So I'm going under the 1 loop. I'm not going under 2 loops. I'm going under this first one here, and I'm going to go all the way back down. So I will do that and meet you at the end. Okay, now once you reach the end, you go under that last loop and you pull up a loop I'm going to make sure you kind of pull your initial part of your string to, because sometimes it kind of loosens up right here. Chain 1 and turn your work. Okay, now we go back, and when you go back again, you're only going in this front loop. So we chained 1, and that's all we've done right now, and you're going to go into the front loop of the one closest to your hook, okay? And you go under it and pull up a loop and then pull through both for your single crochet. If you know how to single crochet, this is going to be so easy, because I believe the only other part that switches in the pattern is when I do a double crochet in around the trim, or what I call the trim, the edge around your wrist. So you just continue to do that. You're only going under the first part of that loop. You're not going under both. You could if you want, but that's not the design that I have done for creating these myself. But I just go into this front loop only, go under, pull up a loop, and then pull through both and go all the way back down your what amounts to your 29 stitches. And I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, and again, once you reach the end, you chain 1 and you turn your work, and you're going to go back again the same way under the front loop only of that. And when you start, you're doing the loop closest to your hook, okay? And you're going to be single crocheting all the way down again, chaining 1, turning your work, going back. And when I create mine, I do 24 rows like this. That is completely up to you. The way I first measured this was with myself, even before I started selling these at craft shows. But I have found that, I guess in some ways I have more of a slender type hand and wrist. Bracelets and things tend to be smaller. But when I create these, it seems to be a size that fits the average wrist as well. Because when you're working with acrylic yarn, as if you've been crocheting at all for any length of time, you know it starts to stretch something. There's give to it. If you're working with 100% cotton, you may find that you want to increase that. If you have an average or a slender size wrist and hand, maybe to 25, possibly 26, but basically I would measure as you get to the end just by wrapping it around your hand, and I will show you when I get to the end too. But initially I'm going to do the 24 rows back and forth. If you lose track when you're counting, you can kind of see the pattern and count by twos in your stitches, where you can kind of see. So you would count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 right in here. You see this line here and this line here that your stitches make creates, it's almost like a finger width here, and I count that by twos. I've heard plenty other crocheters and YouTube tutorials suggest the same. Or you could just keep a little scratch pad next to you and put a little tally mark if you are afraid that that's not going to work for you. But go back and forth. I would say 24 before you measure. Easily just do the 24 unless you were making one for a child. Do the 24 rows, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'll meet you right back here in a sec. Okay, I have reached the point where I have 24 rows, and again, you can count, usually you can count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 4 by the little divide. You can kind of see the pattern that the single stitch in the front loop only creates. And once you do that, again, measure it, because you may find that you need to add a row or two yourself. But this has, again, this size has worked well for me, for myself, and then for also selling these for just an average size wrist or hand. So you can wrap it like this and you can kind of see how it will fit. Okay, and you can see the general area of where we're going to be leaving the opening for your thumb. Okay, so I came to the end and I am actually going to chain one. Then I'm going to fold it in half, and when you do the 24, you'll end up on the opposite end of where you started, which works out nicely when you tie it off over here, and then weave in the ends. Okay, so fold it over, just fold it completely in half. Okay, and then you're going to be going, when you look at it from the top, it's a little easy to see. You're going to be going right down into the stitch closest in the back loop, stitch closest to your hook, and then into the front loop when they're against each other of the other side that you folded over. Pull, grab your yarn, pull it through both, and then sometimes I have to grab it like this on my hook because you're doing a slip stitch. Okay, so that means you're just going to go straight through. Okay, so here it is again. I'm going through the back loop this time, and then through the front loop of the folded side, because those two loops meet. Okay, this yarn is a little bit splitty, so I have to make sure I get through all the little fibers here. Okay, grab my yarn, pull through, and then I'm pulling through my loop there. Okay, and so that's 2. So I tend to go down about 12 stitches before I leave the opening for my thumb. Okay, this is 3 in the back loop, and then in that front loop, pull your yarn and pull it through. 4, 5, 6. I'll go down to about 12 and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, I realized in this yarn I went down 14. So 14 stitches. I did 14 slip stitches. And once you do those, you can just take a pause and you can see where it lies on your hand and where you like it. So 14 is what I did in this Lion Brand Heartland yarn here. Okay, this acrylic yarn. All right, once you have that, then you're just going to slip stitch about 10 on the side closest to you only. Okay, so I pulled through there, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch, back loop, and I'm just going to pull it right through a slip stitch. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, let me double check. Let me see how many I did. Again, depending on the yarn, your thumb hole size. Just gonna, let me count here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It does look like I have. All right, so let me see here. Okay, so in this yarn, it works out where 9 is enough for my thumb hole. So I slip stitched one side, down 9 stitches. Hold your 2 sides together closely again, because now you're going to go in the back loop and into that front loop of the other side that lines up, and you're going to slip stitch right on down the last.
Ellie, Mom, I gotta give Ellie thing.
Okay, so you're gonna just slip stitch those last remaining loops together. 1, 2, 3. Again, it's the front and the back loop. 4, 5. It might get a little tricky when you get to that last one. You're gonna have to be a little careful because the little that knot there wants to get in the way. Okay, and then chain 1 and go ahead, or this is what I do. I keep it to where the tension is right on my hook, and then I tie this part together. The tail that was left over from the beginning, I just make a little double knot here, and I'm gonna weave it in there in a little bit. Okay, so once you have that, you're gonna single crochet all the way around. You're just gonna try to find the edge here can be a little bit tricky because you have some parts that are together and some that are empty. But you're gonna go around and single crochet all the way around where your wrist will end up going. When I do this, I do go under both loops when I have the stitch that has the 2 loops. I do go under both to single crochet. So that's 2. Then this one, see, it's only one piece there. That's 3. And then I find my next 2. Again, sometimes it's a little tricky. This is all gonna blend in, so it's kind of okay, actually. That's why I think this is such an easy beginner pattern, because you kind of hide anything that might not be perfect. 4, 5, 6. My daughter has a friend over, and they're going in and out of the same room I'm in. Sorry for the noise. 7, 8. Sometimes, like I said, it's a little bit tricky. 9, 10, just keep on going around. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, oh, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and then the next one will be 24, which makes sense because we have 24 rows. If you end up with, say, 25, it's not a huge deal. Again, this is a very forgiving pattern. Okay, now I will chain 1. I'm back at the beginning here, and it's nice now because I've created more of a clean line that way. Oh, sorry. Do not chain 1. Don't listen to me there. You're actually connecting it. Get your tail out of the way. You're connecting it back over here at this first stitch. You're going under it. You're grabbing your yarn, pulling it through, and you're slip stitching. Then you're chaining 1. There you go. Sorry about that. Okay. Now I'm going to double crochet into, I'm going to wrap my yarn around my hook, go into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it up, complete your double crochet by pulling through 2 loops and then pulling through the last. And then we're going to work in that same stitch 3 times. So do another double crochet, go through the 2, then go through the 2, grab your yarn again, go through the same stitch, grab yarn, pull up a loop, go through 2, go through 2. Okay, now we're slip stitching into the next loop beside it. Okay, so we just went under, we grabbed yarn, we came right back through, pulled it all the way up. This creates our nice little trim here, this nice little detail around the wrist. Okay, so I slip stitched in that, and then now I'm going to do 3 double crochets into the next. Grab your yarn, go under, grab yarn, pull up a loop. Now you have 3 on the hook. Grab your yarn, pull through 2, grab your yarn, pull through the other 2. Okay, do that again, double crochet, wrap your yarn around, go through the same hole, grab your yarn, pull up a loop. Now you have 3, grab your yarn, pull through 2, pull through 2. That was 2. So now we're going to do it again for the 3rd. Okay, a double crochet in that same stitch. Okay, and then now we're going to slip stitch in the next, which means we don't grab any yarn, we just have the one on the hook. We go through it, we do grab our yarn, we pull through, and then we pull straight on through the loop that was on our hook. Okay, and then now in the next stitch you're going to do 3 double crochet again. Okay, and you're going to start seeing your little scalloped edge trim come to life as you continue to do that all the way around. Okay, 3 double crochets into the same stitch, and then a slip stitch into the one beside it, and then 3 double crochets, and continue to do that all the way around. And I will meet you right back around at the beginning. Okay, once you get towards the very end, you will have that last scalloped edge to where then you create your slip stitch, and you'll be right back up against the first scallop edge. So I go in the base basically of it, right on to the right side. From my perspective here, I just go under and I do 1 more slip stitch. So it's actually like 2 slip stitches against each other. Cut off tail, pull that all the way through, tighten that up some. You're back to your original tail there, which again, if you like, you could easily just double knot there for security. You don't have to. This yarn is nice and has some nice softness, and it feels slightly thicker, so you can kind of hide the feel of a knot. If you're using a yarn that's a little thicker, you might not want to double knot it again. But then I usually, you can either take your tapestry needle, or if you don't have one, you can take a smaller size hook. This is a 3.5, and you can weave in those ends pretty easily. I tend to quite often I will, let me see how this one was. How did I, this one over here. You're not flipping it in, you're not flipping it inside out. This is actually the right side that you're working on, but to weave it in, if it's easier for you, you can flip it, weave your ends in. Sometimes it's easier to weave them right in near the thumb hole, or you can just weave it back in, wherever's best for you. Okay, and there you have it with your nice fingerless gloves. I hope that tutorial helps, and I hope you enjoy this quick, fun winter crochet project. If you like little simple projects like this, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. Happy crocheting!